My entitled aunt secretly sold my grandmother's private forest to a commercial logging company to buy herself a luxury car. She didn't realize the property was already legally deeded to me, so I let her commit massive corporate fraud. I spent years taking care of my grandmother while my aunt completely ignored her. My aunt only cared about money and constantly complained about having to wait for her inheritance. Before my grandmother passed away, she wanted to protect her most prized possession, a beautiful 50-acre parcel of untouched woodland with a small private cabin. Knowing my aunt would immediately destroy it for cash, my grandmother quietly had her lawyer transfer the absolute deed directly into my name. We kept it a secret to avoid family drama. When my grandmother passed, my aunt immediately took over as the executor of the main estate. She aggressively claimed all the cash, the jewelry, and the family home. I didn't fight her on any of it. A few weeks later, my aunt found an outdated tax document in my grandmother's files referencing the 50 acres of woodland. Assuming it was part of the general estate and therefore hers to control, she immediately saw dollar signs. Without telling anyone in the family, my aunt contacted a massive commercial logging company. She signed a highly restrictive, legally binding contract authorizing them to completely clear-cut the entire 50 acres of old-growth timber. In exchange, the logging company gave her a massive $50,000 cash advance. My aunt immediately used that money to buy herself a brand new luxury SUV, bragging endlessly on social media about her newfound wealth and blessings. I only found out about her master plan when she smugly called me. She told me I had exactly 48 hours to go to the woodland cabin and clear out any sentimental junk I wanted because she had sold the timber rights and bulldozers were arriving on Monday morning. She laughed and said she was finally turning that useless dirt into real money and explicitly told me not to try and stop her because the contracts were already signed. I didn't argue, I didn't warn her, and I certainly didn't tell her about my deed. I just said, okay. Monday morning arrived, I drove out to the property line and parked my car right across the main access gate. I brought a lawn chair, a thermos of coffee, and my official, legally recorded property deed. Within an hour, a massive convoy of logging trucks, bulldozers, and heavy machinery arrived, blocking the entire rural highway. The foreman jumped out of his truck and aggressively told me to move my car so they could start cutting down the trees. I calmly handed the foreman a printed copy of my deed. I explained that I was the sole legal owner of the property. My grandmother had transferred it to me years ago, and I had absolutely never authorized a single tree to be touched. The foreman's face went completely pale. He immediately called his corporate office. The logging company's legal team quickly checked the county records and confirmed that my deed was absolute. My aunt had never owned the land, which meant she had sold them something she had no legal right to sell. The logging company was absolutely furious. They had mobilized hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of equipment and paid a massive cash advance based entirely on a fraudulent contract. They immediately packed up their trucks and left. That same afternoon, their corporate lawyers filed a massive, devastating lawsuit against my aunt for breach of contract, criminal fraud, and severe operational losses. My aunt called me screaming at the top of her lungs, begging me to just sign the land over to the logging company to save her from going to prison. I simply hung up and blocked her number. Because she had already spent the cash advance on a depreciating luxury car, she couldn't pay the company back. She was forced to liquidate every single asset she had aggressively taken from my grandmother's estate just to pay her defense lawyers. Her new SUV was repossessed, her bank accounts were frozen, and she is currently facing complete bankruptcy, while my beautiful 50-acre forest remains completely untouched.